Now, getting back to Bruce Ohr, who, as I said, was implicated here, he finally was questioned on the Hill recently about his, well, I don't know because it's not public, but presumably they asked about the Steele dossier, the Clinton DNC dossier. Remember, Nellie Ohr, his wife, was hired by Fusion GPS to work on this dossier targeting President Trump. Nellie Ohr has been highlighted as being kind of lefty and an apologist for communism in Russia. So certainly probably not a fan of Donald Trump one way or another based on her academic record. And she was hired specifically to create this dossier, help create this dossier and analyze materials targeting Donald Trump, which is all well and good if it's honestly done, disclosed to the courts, and that's disclosed to the courts that her husband is the Justice Department official who is also working with Fusion GPS and laundering it in to the FBI. So this is what happened. The FBI cuts off Fusion GPS, or Christopher Steele specifically, as a source deemed unsuitable. Yet Bruce Ohr continues to meet with him, continues to take information from him and send it over to the FBI. Now, Bruce Ohr supposedly testified. He told a half a dozen officials in the FBI and DOJ about his contacts with Fusion GPS and his relationships with Fusion GPS. Who could that have been? Was it Peter Strzok? Was it Andrew McCabe? Was it James Comey? Now, supposedly his supervisors at the Justice Department didn't know he was working a backdoor way with the FBI to get information from Christopher Steele that the FBI said he needed to be cut off as a source. Yet they corruptly allowed Bruce Ohr, who had a conflict of interest. Fusion GPS was giving him money through his wife. When you're married, your wife makes money, you make the money as a spouse. Isn't that obvious? So he was conflicted out. So that was unethical, perhaps illegal, his participation in this process. So we've asked for records about what Bruce Ohr has been up to. And of course, we're getting the runaround. We were in court a few weeks ago about this. Ramona Kotka, who's our lawyer on this, was in court trying to get information. We had a court hearing because the court had a follow-up hearing. At the prior hearing, the court in this particular lawsuit, we have 3 of them targeting Ohr documents, told the Justice Department to get on the ball and give Judicial Watch these documents. Search and produce any documents you found. So what's interesting is we go into court, and just before we go into court, we get notice from the Justice Department. Oh, by the way, we looked for the documents, but it looks like we're going to have to look for them again because there's been a glitch. Well, it turns out we found, so we go into court and they tell the court this. We didn't know what the glitch was about, but they said they'd give us the documents by the middle of September. So we went away. But now it turns out this glitch was more substantial than we were led to believe. According to a filing in another case brought by another organization, the Justice Department said that in October of 2017, they supposedly were migrating all of these government email accounts, Justice Department email accounts, into a database from which they were searching in response to the FOIA. So they began using this database exclusively in October of 2017, once they've gotten all the bugs out of the way. Well, it turns out there was a glitch, and certain accounts weren't being migrated to this database for them to search. And evidently they didn't discover this till late July or August of 2018. So that's nearly a year of searches that were compromised as a result of this so-called glitch. The question I have is, did any emails get lost in the meantime? Meaning, as certain accounts weren't having their emails transferred into this system, were users on those accounts deleting emails before they were transferred? That's the question I have. The other question I have is how many searches were compromised? And were congressional searches compromised? Were IG searches compromised? Because the Inspector General is supposedly doing an investigation and trying to get documents. Isn't it a miracle about all these glitches? We had the Lois Lerner IRS tapes that were deleted, then became undeleted, then became deleted again. We had, remember, glitches for Peter Strzok and Lisa Page text messages. Text messages went missing. We still don't know we have all those text messages. Glitch upon glitch upon glitch. And what happens when these glitches come? It means that documents usually get lost and are never found. And isn't that convenient? So this is something we'll be pursuing. The real question now is what's going on with Bruce Ohr? Why is he still in the Justice Department? The President's asked that recently. I don't know what Congress is doing with respect to getting documents out that Bruce Ohr's, that the Justice Department has produced about Bruce Ohr, because I guess the documents show, they haven't been publicly released, they've been reported on, show that he was in constant communication with Christopher Steele. The Justice Department has told us they have 1,600 records or pages of documents they need to review. And they want 6 more months to turn them over to us. 6 months. They can review that number of documents in a day or two. There's no doubt about it. But they want up to 6 months to turn them over. So Congress, we don't know what Congress does. All we know is what we can do. And we know what we do is a really good way of getting access to information that Congress can't get and that the government would never tell you about. So that's why we file our Freedom of Information Act lawsuits, because it guarantees this court process. It's an imperfect process, but it's better than the process Congress has, because Congress is unwilling to do what's necessary to get the documents they have a legal right to, or a constitutional right to. But we've got this court process that is just great in terms of making these documents available to us and pressuring the agencies generally to make documents available even to Congress, even if they don't give them to us first, because they know we're going to get them eventually. So not Congress, not the media, but Judicial Watch is in court getting Bruce Ohr documents. We now know that the key documents we're seeking are about 1,650, I think it's a little over 1,600 pages. This Justice Department wants up to 6 months to turn them over, which we'll battle with them on, but we're going to get the documents. Now, we don't know what they're going to turn over to us. Will they withhold a bunch of documents? I don't know. But this process is moving forward, and it's, again, Judicial Watch is doing all the work here. We're the ones doing the heavy lifting when it comes to getting government documents about this massive corruption scandal that I've been talking to you about.